The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited. To Zion. I was lost.
Shalom, brothers and sisters. Shalom.
But now I'm found.
Come on in. Hit the like button now.
I'm a child of Israel. I heard the sound. You hear the sound. Please give me the strength to stand today. With my eyes towards the east, show me the way to Zion. I'm on my knees, laying my life on the line. I'm begging, please.
We're going straight in.
My feet, Lord, guide my path, show me the way to Zion.
That's right, brothers and sisters. Go into Zion, where the elders of the Gathering of Christ Church. Here with our weekly Sabbath lesson. I hope you all are doing well. Shalom, shalom to my brothers and sisters throughout the four corners of the earth. Shabbat shalom. Yes, we have a lesson today. A blessed lesson, the man in the mirror. But before going in, I would just like to make a few announcements and then we'll jump right into the lesson, okay? Please hit the like button as you come in. Okay. August 4th, we'll begin a new installment of our Hebrew and Bible Academy. The theme will be unfolding the seals of the apocalypse. All right. All lessons will lean back to the apocalyptic view or how that unfolds into the last 7 seals within the book of Revelation. Okay. So I hope you all are a part of this. We're going to teach some of the same lessons, but from a different perspective. That's why if you have been a part of some of the past academies, you don't want to miss this. Even if the titles are the same, we're dealing with things from a different level with new references and books and all these others. So even when it comes to the creation of the universe. So make sure you be a part of this. Okay. You enroll, go to historytimes.org. Sunday, August 4th, 2024, start at 9 a.m. And of course, Elder Lawyer starts with the Hebrew. Subsequent to that, Elder Shapat and I go into the news like none other, and then your lesson, okay? There's 3 months of teachings, okay? You cannot beat this type of understanding within a 3-month period to set you on a clear foundation for the true doctrine of the Bible, okay? We'll have some brand new lessons involved. Declaring the end from the beginning, the final judgment of evil, the return of the diaspora, the judgment of modern day Sodom and Gomorrah, the kingdom of God, And I'm also adding a new lesson. I spoke to Elder Lawyer about this before the broadcast begins. The connection between the Jesuits and the European Jews, okay? The connection between the Jesuits and the Jews. And the reason why I want to go into this, because I think most people get things misunderstood when it comes to blaming everything on the Jews, not realizing the whole component that was established from the Vatican. Not to say that there aren't certain facets that you understand of control that's given to a particular group, but all in all, there was an oath years ago by the Vatican where they would use the Dark Knights, the Jesuits, to infiltrate all religions, to steer them under one ideology. So they would become the gatekeepers. They would join synagogues and become Jews and convert to steer the direction of the Vatican. They would join Christianity and make what we would call evangelical Christians, or what they would call Messianic Jews, when really these are Jesuit infiltrations of Christianity. They would join levels of politics, get on the boards of education, okay, and parts of influence, to make sure no matter where they have their claws, gripped into any ideology, any political movement, that it would steer towards the progressive ideology of the Vatican. Okay, so it doesn't matter what group it is, they want to make sure it's steering things towards the Vatican's plans. And this is why I wanted to go into the connection between the Jesuits and the Jews, because it does show when the Vatican began to create the form of Judaism we see today, not as a religious stronghold, but more so as a political engine to drive the Vatican's agendas. So I'm going to go into that. I got a book on the way. It's an old book that actually give you the details, and it's history. This has nothing to do with pointing fingers to people. It's history. It show you who the Vatican chose to go into certain areas of influence. All right. And I'm going to use that so that people can't look and say, well, all Jews are this and all this. There's no absolutes in anything. Okay. There's no absolutes. You can't say that all one is this and all one is that. Okay. That's unintelligible. And on top of that, the enemy would rather you see things that way, because they'll have you looking one way while they're infiltrating you inside. Now, the one reason the apologetics, who are Jesuits, folks, they come out of the school of what? The University of Loyola. These are Jesuits. The reason why they have a problem with Israelites, doesn't matter what the doctrines are, right? They have a problem with Israelites because our people becoming Israel is one thing they can't infiltrate. They can't come in and influence us at all, right? Like at any time, a Jesuit could go through a Jewish conversion for 5 years and be an influencer within Judaism. See? They don't even have to believe in Christ for real. And they can become a Christian using their intelligence through academia and become an influencer of doctrine within Christendom. Because no one really realized the source of these Jesuits. They'll come through like regular old Christians, get on an Oprah Winfrey show or some type of show to get some level of credibility and become an influencer. See? With a plan. And I'm going to show you what the Jesuits' plans are, the oath, in the next academy. They have a problem with Israelites because they can't come through and infiltrate like that. They can't come through and become one of us like they would if they were to convert to Judaism. They can't do it. And we don't want to hear anything they have to say. They have done enough to destroy the world with their false doctrine infiltrating Christianity. So to some degree, most people don't trust the Bible based on what the Jesuits has done with it, with false doctrine, injecting all Babylonian Mithraism and all these different evil, dark doctrines, the worship of the mother and all these others. So most people now shun the Bible because of the Jesuits, not knowing indirectly that was the Jesuits' plan, to move us away from the only book that could direct us into what's going on in the earth, okay? So that and more. I can't wait to touch on this lesson. The connection between the Jesuits and the Jews. Brand new lesson, never been taught. If this interests you, go to historytimes.org. Go to historytimes.org. Someone says turn up the volume. Let me see if I can help you with that. All right? Is this a little better? Is this a little better for you? Just turn it up just a little bit here. Is that better? Go to historytimes.org to enroll. All right? I got this thing on red right now, okay? Now, we're going to jump right in, but before doing so, go to historytimes.org. The connection between the Jesuits and the Jews. It's very inexpensive for this academy, okay? It's less than, believe it or not, it's less than 30 cents a day, okay? So you can't beat that, and we never went up on the particular price of the academy, all right? And I'm putting it out there real quick that for those who were in the past academy and would like to be a part of this, we are doing something where you can have 10% off. Just let us know you're in the last academy. We'll see your email, and we'll make sure we kick back the difference, okay? historytimes.org. Someone said the volume was fine, actually. All right, great. Great, here it is. Now, before I jump into the lesson, let's now, real quick, let me go here. This coming weekend, next weekend, we'll be in Las Vegas. The GOCC gathering, an all-white affair, Saturday night. Okay, RSVP. To complete your reservations and to secure your seat, please proceed to the payment portal to submit your payment below, okay? Now, if this interests you, go to GOCC West Coast 144@gmail.com, okay? That's GOCC West Coast 144@gmail.com, okay? You can go there, be a part of this. Friday, we'll be doing baptisms early in the morning for those who would like to be baptized. Saturday is when we do a lesson early in the morning, and then we'll have a nice gala with the West Coast in Las Vegas, okay? So if this interests you, again, send an email to GOCC West Coast 144@gmail.com, okay? All right. Thank you, Dell. All praises be to the Most High. Let's jump right into the Sabbath lesson. And again, you don't want to miss the next academy. You don't want to miss the next academy, okay? Unfolding the seals of the apocalypse. Now, let's jump right in. Let's jump right in. Okay, I'm Elder Rick Shaw of the Gathering of Christ Church. Blessed Sabbath. We're going into a lesson titled The Man in the Mirror. Okay? The Most High set up a divine order with duties and responsibilities, and we're going to talk about that in the lesson in of itself. All right? But I believe it's apropos to actually pivot off of one of the phone calls I had Wednesday night, right? we were going into how to protect our sisters because they're out there so far. They've been deceived into, being out there so far without protection that now no one can help them and are getting utterly crushed, destroyed, even murdered in these streets. So I was putting it out there to say, well, listen, it's time for us to establish an order. Only to have someone, and I know the lady who came on later, she probably meant better because she wanted to give I would say, an outside perspective. And she said, well, it was one girl who came on and said, my husband is my best friend. I submit to him. I respect him. And I said, well, okay, that's a start. You have a protector. Only to open it up to the next call. With the next call, it was about to be a scenario in which it's, what about the men? So I believe it's convenient for us to go into this lesson, the man in the mirror. We speak about the women particularly in these days for a reason. And when the light is shined on whoever the topic is about, there's no resolve if we begin to talk about something else or someone else. It's circular. It isn't going to stop the young people that are operating with and the sisters that are now in danger. It's not going to stop them from getting utterly erased if we start talking about the men. Now, we talk about the men all the time. The system has something in place where there's consequences if men go off. There's barriers and consequences that's in place even within the laws on the books in the secular world. So men have some level of what? Have to be accountable, or it may mean their life. Now we're going to go into this, but just for those who didn't hear it, because it's apropos for this particular lesson, Man in the Mirror, let me let you all hear real quick, if we can. Real quick. Let me pull it up. That phone call. Just a little piece of it. We're just going to hear a little piece of that phone call, right? From the other night. So what I'll do is I'll go back, hit the like button now, to the young girl who was speaking first. Right? Go ahead.
No problem.
I'm done. Go ahead.
So I had a comment. I'm raising, well, me and my husband, we're raising a 9-year-old and I have a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
And my son is 9, and it's just like, it seems like now that he's getting older, a lot of people are telling me that I'm raising him and putting him in a box because I'm trying to raise him in the Word. We're trying to raise him in the Word. So it's like, I feel like a lot of pressure from other, people in my family that's trying to tell me that, he should be into, rapping and the girls and just all that stuff. And like my son, he's a typical 9-year-old. He still likes girls, but I'm like, he's 9. So it's just a lot of pressure.
Oh, okay.
And I just like.
Okay, let me ask you a question. I'm just hypothetical. Mm-hmm. Let's just pull everything back. Right?
Yes.
If there was a white woman with a husband and a 9-year-old living on a block between you and your family, and the mother was bringing up that young man in the Bible, what would your family say to that white woman?
They'd be happy about it. It'd be a good thing.
Yeah. So let's stop for one moment. Why is it that they expect a lower expectation from you. So I'm just putting that out there to say, listen, sister, you have to understand the pathology that comes with the destruction that have happened to our people. They don't even realize that what they are trying to push on you is destructive, and what they would actually celebrate if it was another race with the same circumstances. So the same way I just posed this question to you, pose it to them, because they've never even their brains have never even went there, have never even gone there, excuse me, concerning how ridiculous their viewing things are. You understand? So I would make you would celebrate if I was a white woman with a kid in the Bible, 9 years old, you would be bragging amongst the rest of the people on this block. What's wrong with you?
Right. Right. Definitely. I didn't even think about it like that.
But go on.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
And that's
I know.
sister, that's what it comes down to. Sisters succumbing to the pressures of the world. This is how we got here. You got to take a hard stance. You think you can tell you think you can tell a Karen what to do with their child? And I'm talking about.
You know what I mean? And I like these phone calls. I like the phone calls because it gives us some real-time examples to be able to actually challenge how we've been programmed to see things. Right? These conversations actually challenge us to say, you know what? I've been viewing things wrong. There's a different set of rules for us, or a lower expectation for our people opposed to other races of people. And this has nothing to do with other people. It has everything to do with how we view things. Right? So let's get to the next. So now let's get to the next part of the call. Right?
And I'm gonna tell you, we can save some of this younger generation.
Hold on.
But you have a lot of people who messed up their young years, sister, that I've seen. And you can only see this demographic, this catty demographic race with the same circumstances. So the same way I just posed this question to you, pose it to them, because they're falling too. And that's another thing we're missing in the elder women who's willing to say, you know what, young girl, don't do what I did. And
hold on, there's something going on with this. Hold on. Check 1 2. Hold on, there's something going on with this. Let me do it this way. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check. All right, let's do it this way. I'm gonna do it this way because I don't want no feedback. Let me ask, is there a lot of feedback where y'all are as far as sound? Is everything good there? Is there background noise where you all are? Is there background noise or everything is good? All right, I turned down the volume. Okay, good. Is it better? All right. So let's go in, right? I'm going to pull it up from here. Right after I spoke to the young lady, right? A new phone call happened. Let me let you hear this real quick.
instead of saying, girl, you got all your younger years, do you first, and there's always time for a man later. And it didn't work for her. Okay.
Right. And it's funny because they think that Well, it's funny for me because I always tell people how, I'm married to my best friend, and they start, people try to downplay their marriages, and I'm like, I'm not gonna downplay mine for her. I'm gonna let you know that this is my best friend. Like I tell my people that's around me that all the time. Like it's a beautiful thing. Marriage is not boring. Marriage can be fun. It has its days.
Good.
So,
and I'm gonna tell you that's one thing. Right. That's one thing that's a woman thing, because I've heard men tell young men all the time, young boys, listen, don't make mistakes I made. Okay, don't do it this way, and they'll hem a young guy up and say, listen, you're going the wrong way. You're going to end up, this is your outcome. They'll show examples. But I'm going to tell you, man, sometimes women see young girls going, girl, go to school and get your education. They'll be men later. And here it is, all the good men who would have retired you by the age of 40 done went on with their lives. So we have to stop this thing where you're letting others put pressure on your house. That's no different than the serpent coming in while Adam was gone, saying, well, listen, would you like some fruit? Thank you, sister.
Now, after this call, someone came in, right? Now, listen.
Let me place you on hold.
There's a young lady with a family who's asking advice that would keep her son in the Bible, who submits to her husband. And that we were giving her advice, do not listen to outside influences. Listen to God. She gave an example how the women in her life is advising her to have her son become a rapper and just enjoy the world, as if she's abusing her son by raising their children up in the admonition of God. Right? So then another call came subsequent to that. Listen to this call, just a little bit of it.
Would you like some fruit? Shalom. Yvonne has a comment.
Shalom.
How you doing? Shalom, Yvonne. What you got?
I just want to say that, I understand that, we as women, we have to stand, first of all, for the Most High God. And then, with that, we will stand with men. Any woman that's in the Lord, truly rooted in her, that's what she does. And I've always been one like that. I would never, downplay or act like men were irrelevant in my life. And but these men out here, they need to be rooted and grounded in the Lord also. In order for a woman, you saying there's 50% of men out there that are not, that are looking for women or would want to have a woman. But what about really having the Lord in their life? See, I'm not going to follow after you and you doing all kinds.
Sister, let me answer the question, because a woman has a right. A woman does the choosing. Right?
The woman does the choosing.
Yeah, the woman does the choosing. So if a woman chooses someone that isn't fit, whose fault is that?
Well, no, but I'm just saying.
No.
You said all these.
No, I'm going to.
It's her fault, of course.
Sister, listen. I'm going to get to the bottom of it, because the whataboutisms and circles, it have never gotten us a conclusion. So what I'm trying to do is break down each part you say. The bottom line is this, right? And listen to this clearly. Man must submit to who?
The Most High.
Okay. The woman must submit. No. Let's break it down in pieces.
Yeah, it tells you in the Word.
It tells
you that in the Word.
You're speaking because you know. Listen. You're speaking because you know where I'm going. But just don't say anything extra.
I don't know where you're going.
Okay. Well, just don't say anything, and let's break down each part. A man must submit to who?
He submits to the Most High.
Okay, let's keep it there. A woman must submit to who?
The Most High.
A woman must submit to a man. Okay? And why am I...
Let me stop right there. Why am I showing that initially? It's because we're not talking about people who don't believe in the book. And it was hard for her to actually admit, never admitted, that a woman is supposed to submit to a man. Now, think about this. Isn't it hard to hold a man accountable if a man must fight for authority within his own home? You can't say go out there and get him, lion, go out and conquer the world, when he must conquer the person who was meant to submit with him first. Now, I just wanted to point that out because we have aged women who find it hard to squeeze out of themselves that the divine order is that a woman is supposed to submit to a man. So we can't point all around until we first, man and woman, get down with the initial divine order first. That's where the finger pointing stops. Why? Because if one is operating right and the other isn't, the one who isn't is clearly seen and now can be corrected. But it must start with the foundation. I don't want to go through the whole thing. But again, I allowed her to keep coming back. All due respect to her. And I was going to listen to everything she had to say, but she had to admit what God set up is the foundation going forward in the conversation. And not once could she say, you know what, a woman is supposed to submit to a man. I would have heard, if she'd have said, Christ is over man, man is over women, and the women is over children, we would have went on. Because the first agreement is the order. And if we don't have the order in place, it'll be pointing fingers while the demons and out there and the world powers continue to destroy all of us. And right now they're aiming towards destroying and totally eradicating the women and children. Right? So let's go into this. Man in the mirror. It wasn't about pointing the fingers to anyone, more so than saying, well, okay, let's establish our responsibilities. So that now, regardless of what happened in the past, we can start on one accord now. No one can change what happened in the past. No one can change what happened in the past. We've all been hurt, whether it be men, women, whatever the case is. We've all gone through struggle. We've all went through dysfunction. It's called curses. Mm-hmm. But now that the Most High has presented the truth, there is no excuse to why any of us cannot submit. Right? So, let's jump into this real quick. Let's jump in. The Moral School of Law in Indiana University did a study. They did a study. It's called the Moral School of Law, Indiana University. Here's a digital repository of that particular white paper. Gail E. Bingham of Indiana University. titled The Liberated Black Woman, a question of black power and nationalism. Right? Now, why are they writing this particular paper? Well, they created something in the United States that have never been created before. Usually when there's communism, it affects the whole society of its people, whether it be male or female. Okay? Even under Marxism that killed many people, it affected all of the people. Majority were European at this time, but it filtered into Africa also, some of what they did to destroy our people. Millions. Right? Even Marxism. Marxism affected predominantly all people regardless of race. But when you read this white paper, it's prophetic, and I'm going to go into it. This white paper is speaking of something different that happened in America. For once, they were going to create an ism. Now, keep in mind, folks, people talk about feminism, but feminism for white people and other races of people is a different form of feminism that was created to destroy us. For the first time, they had what? They had something that could disproportionately affect a target race. Why must we go into this? It's because when we point the fingers and say all that, we have to say, well, no, the only way to get back on course is by setting the order, because something was done to one side that wasn't done to the other side. We must fix that side, the side they focused on to break us in the end, at the end. What they did was strategically take any authority that was left of the man from the black man. You understand? So that he would have to fight in the home first before fighting the enemy outside. And we're going to talk about it. So how do we fix this? How do we fix this? I'm going to go into it in this lesson, Man in the Mirror. Now, just to preface a little what I'm going to go into, right? And I'm going to go into the scriptures on it too. It says, the liberated black woman. So this is not a regular black woman or Judite woman. This is the liberated black woman. So you're being liberated from who? And what happens when a man who's traditional tried to lead a liberated woman? No one have had those discussions before. He can't. It's against our programming. So it would be upon her to say, you know what? My programming is what I must fix. God can't fix this. Man cannot fix this. I must fix my programming. See? That's where repentance come in. That's where owning something comes in, right? Because it was only done to one side. Now, when they liberated the black woman, 50s and 60s, they understood that they would have to up the incarceration and find a place. Why? Find a place to jail all the men who would be what? A result of it. Because if there's combativeness where you got a woman who want to go out or still, I feel that you're trying to control me, it would lead to what? It would lead to what? It would lead to domestic violence. It would lead to argument of households, dysfunctional children, the cops coming to the house different times of night. So they bake that in first before, brothers and sisters, before the crime bill was put in place. Because eventually, if there's a disagreement between man and woman, incarcerations will go up in that community. So let's talk about it real quick. A question of black power and nationalism. Now, they don't have no papers, no white papers on black men like this in these universities at all. They targeted one side for a reason. And it wasn't for the benefit of either of us. It's what I'm trying to highlight here. The liberated black woman, a question of black power and nationalism. It actually rolls out or explains the role that was intended. The role of the black woman in the liberation of womankind must first be clearly defined to establish the context of which the term liberation is used before discussion of the subject can have any significance. If by the term liberated, it is meant for the throwing off of some kind of yoke of oppression and dehumanization invoked by men. So we're getting to the root of this now. What do they mean by a black liberated woman? It's to throw off some kind of yoke or oppression, dehumanization invoked by men. So now it's the black man who has placed a yoke of oppression on her. Don't allow her to do the things other women are doing, other people are doing. It's dehumanizing her because she has her own life, her own direction, her own career. So submission have been turned into these two words, oppression and dehumanization, where a woman would feel shame to say, I submit to my man. It's an indoctrination. And then all the results that come from that indoctrination, we point to the negative that comes from it and says, it's his fault. He's controlling. He's this. He's that. And then he's like, she don't listen. See, right? Then it becomes secular while the enemy crushes us all. So they did a case study specifically on our women outside of other women and said, we're going to have a new form of feminism, even though we'll have the world believe it's the same. It's the same. We're going to take the bottom and make the bottom, the people that we've oppressed, make them believe that they're the enemy. That either side is the enemy. When the only thing that have survived our people through chattel slavery, Jim Crow, being bombed and everything else is the fact that we were once together. So this was a unique ideology never created on the earth when it comes to creating systems for people. They did something different. They did something different. It's about having an identity outside of their man. Now, I can't read the whole thing, but this is so destructive. Because by doing so, by indoctrinating our women into believing that we were the enemy, they would side with everyone else who were attacking the black men the whole time. They would side with gays. They would side with white women. They would side with white men. They would side with anything, not realizing it was a part of their indoctrination. They would raise our young girls to believe that their brothers were the enemy, that the male figures were the enemy. So that's a special type of indoctrination that must be broken. And the only way it can be broken is through God. When I say through God, it comes a point where we have to admit our roles according to Him to start over. So pointing fingers ain't going to do it. We must assume our original role as a starting point. That's why I was pressing, what's the order of God? To the lady the other night. That's why I was pressing. Because the only thing we're going to talk about is our past hurts. And our men ain't this. And our women ain't this. Listen, hey, okay. What is the divine order according to God? Because that's where we can start and do what? Help the people who want to be helped. Men and women, and put a specific, listen to me clearly, a specific plan in place for young girls who never been touched by men. So that they don't fall into the same curse. So that they don't fall to the same dysfunctions. Put something in place where we can do as much focus on the young girls who haven't been touched, as much focus as the colleges have actually focused when it comes to the indoctrination of a new form of feminism. Hit that like button. Right? Hit that like button because we are going in. Elder Lawyer, if you will.
Yes, sir.
Right? Let's go to Sirach in the Apocrypha. Okay. Feminism was never created. It was never created, folks. Esau didn't create the psychology, the destructive psychology of feminism, and you know, to have the white patriarchy destroyed. It was never meant for that. It was a what you would call a social weapon to be pointed to anyone that they deem a threat to the white patriarchy. And that's what they're not telling you. Because any white woman who has her stuff together know that she's not going to throw her man away publicly. Not the man that have given her privilege throughout the earth. So their feminism has a what? Has a ceiling. They'll exercise their feminism but so far. They know that they better not try to oppose that white man who have given them the power in this world to be second. To be second, folks. So they'll exercise their feminism for financial gain or to do certain things that would benefit what they call the white patriarchy. But they're not looking to destroy the white patriarchy. It's the white patriarchy that gives the white women privilege. So they understand to exercise it for their financial gain without breaking the system. And this is why I read these white papers and hear how they, because I have to read how they actually got into the minds of our women, God's daughters of Zion. So I had to break it down. I'm like, I need to find out the psychology they used. to make people believe that they could oppose their only protector. Let's go to Sirach, Ecclesiastes. A matter of fact, Elder Lawyer, let's go back to the divine order again first. Let's go to the divine order. And you know what? The Bible says, give honor to the woman as the weaker vessel. I know when sisters hear some of these things, they're up in age and they look back with some regret of how they could have done things differently. I know it doesn't feel good because they don't have a chance to go back. None of us do and change anything. So I'm not saying this to point to what someone have done wrong, male or female. There's young women out there that we can save. Okay? There's young men out there that we can save. But there's no way we can begin to save them if we don't admit how we've gotten here, right? So it goes back to God. We ask the Most High, how can I fix this? How can I fix this? Now, unless we're selfish, and I hope we aren't, be like, well, you know what? I messed up. All right, that's cool. But I'm not selfish. I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure this curse is not passed to the brothers and sisters who comes after me. This is how I can fix it. I can live through their righteousness and admit that we were the problem so that they don't have to go through it. Right? Let's read it real quick, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir.
Let me get it out of the Bible first. 1 Corinthians 11:1. Please read that, Elder.
Yes, sir. 1 Corinthians 11, verse 1. Be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ.
Be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ.
Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances as I delivered them to you.
Come on.
But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ.
But I would have you know that the head of every man is who?
Christ.
Is Christ. Read.
And the head of every woman is the man.
Is the what?
Is the man.
Is the what?
Is the man.
Now, the Most High didn't preface this. He didn't make, it can be the man if.
Mm-hmm.
See? It could be the man if. No. The head of every woman is the man. That's the divine order. Because that comes with accountability now. Right? I can't say, well, the head of me is the Most High. No, Christ is the head of me. I can't jump over Christ and now go to the Most High. I have to be in order with him. See? The same thing with a woman. A woman cannot leapfrog the man, even if she would like to. She must submit, but it's against her programming. Because the world, through these white papers and all, have programmed her to look at her man, as a negative first. And if I was, and it's in the white papers, that the man is the oppressor. So she's taught to see the negatives first, specifically in the black man. And if we were to do the same and say, well, hold up, Let me not look at her beauty. Let me not look at her family and whether or not she's been touched by another man and all these other things, because everyone been out here doing whatever. If I was to look at all that first, if we were to look at all that first, would we choose a woman? No. No, we wouldn't. But we weren't taught to look at a woman's negatives first. See? To give all an opportunity, a clean slate. But women don't know in particular, our women don't know that they were programmed to look at us as a negative. See? And then there's other things. I see how my mother was treated by him and by this and all. And now we internalize these things and live a life of victimhood. And this is where Satan wants us. It says right here, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of a woman is the man. Read.
And the head of Christ is God.
And the head of Christ is the Most High. We must first start and all agree to the divine order, because now we're held accountable to the order. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? We're held accountable to the order. Well, if we all know the order, and I go find a woman, hypothetically, or a man find a woman who's disobedient, non-submissive, how can I blame her for being that? See? Now I can't deal with her, and now the relationship ain't working out, and now use that same excuse to say she's hard-headed when she wasn't submissive from the beginning. But now an out is baked in to the relationship. See? So let's deal with her knowing that she isn't right. To use that same spirit, that same excuse to get out of it. The same thing when it comes to a woman. The guy's a bad boy. The guy has all these red flags. See? But then, here it is. Or he's not a leader. He's lazy. He can't keep a job. All these things you know exist. And this is why I have to take charge. But then, once the newness wear off, these are the excuses that we're going to leave for, because how can I listen to him when he isn't a leader? Why would you choose a man that you don't respect enough to lead you? And this is why we bring the divine order back, so that going forward, the right choices can be made. Not to blame one another. I'm not going to get with a man unless I can respect him, unless I can respect him enough to be guided by him. A matter of fact, as a woman, I'm not going to be in position to choose a man. And that's where it's backwards right there. That is against the Bible. You're supposed to have a man in place that's able to hold that man accountable. And I'm going to talk about this. Men are supposed to be doing the choosing for the women in their lives, be it their family and everything else, because now that man that she's going to deal with know that he's not accountable just to her. He's accountable to that guy who told him what the conditions would be if he violated. And we're going to show you that out of the scriptures too. Now, if a man don't know how to lead, then a woman shouldn't be with that man. See? It's that simple. So we have to choose a man separate from just the aesthetics and everything else. Or some of them, let me tell you, some of the men who were raised to be leaders are seen in our society as dull. Nerds when we were coming up. Even when I was coming up, it was weird, even though, I could sing and all these things, and it was a certain attraction. Women were attracted to that. But outside of that, if I wasn't singing or nothing, I was just a bookworm. And I seen a lot of the nice women who would choose someone with the IQ of a brick. Not realizing 10 or 20 years down the line that they could have had someone who would win for the family, that can leave a legacy and name. So we can't be on this other side talking about, well, these men aren't leading. What you mean these men aren't leading? You have to be with you. Would you choose a man that couldn't lead you? And if that's so, then who can take accountability for that? You can't blame all men for personal choices. Right? So let's talk about it. I've seen it. I'm sitting in class. I'm in the 9th grade. Here it is. I'm acing tests and all that. And, some of the football players, a lot of people around, they're peeking on my, I would let them get the answers. Rich, what's the answers, Rich? I would give them the answers. Right? But the same with listen. But guess what? These guys weren't short of options growing up in school. See, but it would take a man to actually look at any man a woman would bring home and now put that young man to task. See? We had churchmen in position who were what? Who were masculine back then. Churchmen. Where a young girl bring a man, listen, a father would vet that young man, and then he would tell the daughter, this guy ain't going nowhere. If you run off with him, I'm cutting you off. That used to be the conversation when I was growing up. This guy ain't going nowhere. I've spoken with him, and I can tell. He would be nice with the guy around him and all that. And as soon as the guy walk away, stay away from this guy. He ain't going nowhere. His brain is in the wrong place, okay? And I'm not going to be dealing with trying to heal you from this madness with this young man. And then there was a threat. You run off with this man, and I'm cutting you off. But none of these things exist anymore that we have to put back in play. So it comes with what? An order first. An order first. Now, submission comes with some level, bro, listen to this clearly. Submission, brothers and sisters, come with some level, not level, it's serious obedience and knowing when to be quiet. Just because you're right or think you're right doesn't mean that you have to retort in every instance. See? Let me show you something. Let's go into the Apocrypha now. Let's get Sirach. The Apocrypha. Okay. Chapter and verse, Elder Lloyd.
We can start in 25 and 16.
25. And then we're going around because, brothers and sisters, did y'all know that liberalism and the feminism that will be targeting our people in the very end, did you know that that was in the Bible? What better way to get off for the man who have helped destroy us to get off scot-free than to have our sights not on him who's destroying us, but change that direction into us fighting and destroying one another. I need y'all to think about that. Chattel slavery, Jim Crow, up into the civil rights, we understood that what? We were united against those who were oppressing us. So they say, listen, they're too singularly focused on us. Okay, so how can we attack as hunters, Esau, if they know we're coming? If they understand our tactics? These people, the black man and the black woman, is together, and they're watching us. So what better way to do it than to move that direction into not the enemy who's destroying us, not see him as the enemy, but to have us see one another as the enemy. And then sit back only to watch their work to perfection. Right? 26, let's get it, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. 25 and 16.
25, verse 16 out of the Apocrypha. This is Sirach, or what the Bible would call Ecclesiasticus. Right? Let's go.
All right, I'll jump around. It says here, I had rather dwell with a lion.
I had rather dwell with a lion
and a dragon
than
to keep house with a wicked woman.
So, in a nutshell, what the Bible is actually showing you is what the feminist indoctrination would be. It would have an ideology that would separate the woman from the man, which makes her what? Useless according to why God created her in the beginning. See? She was created to be a helpmeet. Anything outside of that is wickedness. It's not about having her own. And have her own is the legacy and name of the man she's attached to. Period. What God established is simple. I had rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than to keep house with a wicked woman.
Yes, sir. 17.
Now, what happens if a woman isn't operating in her original space, according to how God made her? Conflict ensues. Conflict ensues. Right? And I'm not going, listen, I would never excuse a person, a man who would ever touch or abuse a woman. I've never done it. I think it's cowardice and all of that. But even growing up, even in my 20s, when I first started learning this truth, and I would hear stories of he was abusive, he's this and that. And I'm like, well, listen, I know men are simple. Not to say that I would excuse what any man would do, but what, he just came home and just started beating something up, or is you leaving something out? What led up to a conflict? And people rarely state what led to it, even though there's no excuse for it. You can't trigger and continue to poke a lion and not understand that there's a consequence. So a woman have to know when to say, you know what, this thing is going too far. And a man have to know when that threshold is moving him into something else. And how do you do this? You do this with a woman. Like, here's an example. If a man was to say the same thing to that man that a woman said to him, what would be the outcome? Would that ensue into a serious fight where there's no words, it's time to settle this? Women have to know where that threshold is. Because if a man did the same thing, it would be a fight. Right? So it's understanding, hold up. Men don't talk too much before it's, listen, let's go outside and settle this and we'll be good later, but we need no talking. But a woman would know that a man can't go there and continue to go the same place a man can't go. That's wrong. That's oppressive. That's wrong. The Bible states that. I had rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than to keep house with a wicked woman. Read.
The wickedness of a woman changeth her face, and darkeneth her countenance like sackcloth.
The wickedness of a woman changeth her face, and darkeneth her countenance. And I'm saying this to the women, for the sisters who are seeking wisdom. When a woman begin to operate outside of who he's seen her initially as, he don't see that dainty, feminine, loving woman that he could spend the rest of his life with. And it says the wickedness of a woman, when she changeth into something else, she don't look the same to him anymore. She begin to have a dark countenance. Every time you see her, her face is messed up, in the wrong way. And he don't see her the same. And it's important for women to understand that, because men will seldom say anything when their heart has changed. They'll just let it be and let it ride out. But the first stages that comes with him adjusting himself not to be with the woman, the first steps comes with, in his mind, I'm going to talk to you sisters, is that he don't see you the same anymore. He sees a rival. He sees a rival. He sees someone who's there to rival him. He won't say anything, but that's in the back of his mind. He's just waiting for peace. See? 18, let's read it.
Her husband shall sit among his neighbors, and when he heareth it, he shall sigh bitterly.
Her husband will sit amongst his friends. And it says, and when he heareth it, shall sigh bitterly. Because his friends will be looking at him. And the friends are trying not to really, hurt him. But in a nutshell, they'll say, man, you have no cojones. Your woman owns your strength. And now, even if he's a provider, even if he's doing the best he can, he's seen as weak amongst his peers. See? It's the woman that gives that man confidence to conquer the world, to lead. Because she showed that confidence in him. You can't take a man's confidence, make him weak, and then tell the world, well, listen, there's no one to lead me because all the men are weak. Submission comes first. Submission comes first. It's not that the man have to show you something first. Submission comes first. I must submit to Christ to get into the kingdom of heaven. Christ don't got to do nothing. He don't have to show me he's real. He don't have to show me anything that he haven't showed me already. I must submit to him. I'm not going to say, well, when Christ is ready, when Christ come back, then I'll submit and hear what he have to say. I'm here dealing with things on my own. I got to fend on my own over here. When he come back and I see him, that's when I'm going to submit. No, I can't say that. So in the proper order, a woman don't have to wait for something to submit. That's a cop-out when it comes to her responsibility as a woman. And a reason to stay the way you are. Man must submit, woman must submit, and there is no conditions involved in it. There is no conditions. A man can't sit back and say, well, listen, I'm fending here on my own. I'm here against Satan, the synagogue of Satan. They're indoctrinating our children. And where is Christ? Well, I'll tell you what, when he come back to lead us, then I'll submit. Mm-hmm. That's how it sounds from a woman. When a woman says she's waiting to see something to submit. No, you're supposed to submit. You're a woman. Well, I went through something in the past. We all went through something in the past. I still got to submit to Christ. That's the only way we're going to make it through this together. Let's read it.
Yes, sir. Verse 19. All wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her.
So when it says all wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman, it's talking about opportunity. When it comes to opportunity, compared to a woman, compared to a man, she has greater opportunity to cause wrong. And that's why the Bible has put restrictions on women. Right? And I can just give you a few examples. A man don't got the power to just put something on and know that you can lower any person that you want and how powerful they are under your control. Men don't have that power. I don't care how good looking or tall or strong a man is. In comparison to a woman, and it doesn't matter whether or not she has high intellect. That's power. So when it says in comparison, it's talking about opportunity to cause trouble. Because a woman can put something on. I read a story the other day where they finally locked this woman up with this other guy, and her job was to what? Be on Instagram and lure guys into hotels to get robbed. It was her cousin linked in with her. Now, the robber, could he have access to all these guys to rob? No, he needed bait. And she looked that nice. Well, okay. You're the bait. He was knocking them down one at a time. They would come in the room, rob them, rob them, rob them, rob them. And then the cops got involved. They called the wrong one up. But all in all, hey, a man can't do that. A man doesn't have that power. And with power comes responsibility. Okay? And these are the things we need to be teaching our younger women, our younger girls. This is not, if we are beyond our age and already lived our lives and have our children, folks, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the next generation. They're pointing Sexy Red and others too.
Right.
So if we just to get in order to make sure we can save as many of them as we can, if that's all we do, it's good enough. Because they have aimed towards destroying the women, and they have a concentrated effort when it comes to the corporations aiming this satanic evil image for the young girls to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Elder Lawyer, if you will, let's go down.
Yes, sir. Verse 20. If I can say this real quick, it lends to the reason why, and I know people, as you mentioned earlier, they may hear these types of messages and say that they come off pretty strong. But the reality is that we're way behind the 8 ball, and we don't have the resources, we don't have the propaganda mill or what have you to be able to reach as many people in a short period of time as the industry does. So the message has to come off strong so they can hit home and save as many lives as possible before they decide to fall to the left-hand side.
Yeah. And when it comes to the men, the Bible says what? A man is to become a provider. A man is to follow the admonition of God, follow the law, statutes, and commandments, and that's clearly defined. Women really have the power because women can take all the power from men who aren't like that by not dealing with them. Women have the power to have a man shape up and become right if he's willing to be accountable. Women have that power. See? Women have that power to say, well, listen, hey, you don't deserve a woman who's accountable to God, therefore, no access. Women got that power. And it can't be an expectation of, well, the man I want or the man that's out there that's acting like he want to act, it's our responsibility to make him that for a woman. That doesn't exist in Scripture. That is our responsibility to make a man right for a woman. No, we teach the law. And it's the man whom that woman is accountable for or to. That man, it's his responsibility to vet the men that she's interested in and filter that man through the law, or he stay on the other side of the wall. See? He stays on the other side of the wall. He isn't fit to lead, so let's not give him access. See? Let's not give that man access. Let's solely look to men who you know can lead. Right? Let's read it.
Verse 20, key verse. As the climbing up a sandy way is to the feet of the aged, so is a wife full of words to a quiet man.
As the climbing up a sandy way is to the feet of the aged. That means you have an old man who can barely walk, or an old woman who could barely walk, asking this particular person to walk up a sandy hill. Now, could they actually do it? Of course. Do they want to do it? No. Is it a struggle for them? Yes. So it states, as the climbing of a sandy way to the feet of the aged, so is a wife full of words to a quiet man. It's abuse. It's abuse. When I say it's abuse, if there's a scenario where there's a disagreement and the man states, let's end this. Let's put this conversation off to another time. And you keep talking, and you keep talking, and you keep talking. You're triggering something that you cannot rival. And you know you're emasculating this person and hurting this person with your words. And the reason why he's saying, well, listen, let's keep it quiet, because he's not going to be able to take back all the stuff you've said against him. It's going to lie in his mind, and that's against you. Sometimes it's good to say, you know what? Let's pick this conversation up at another time, because, you know, I can see you not listening, and this can go wrong badly, quickly. That's what adults do. No, you're going to hear me now. Blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter what the circumstances are. Pick it up when cool heads can prevail. It's not what goeth into a man that defileth a man, but what comes out of his mouth. You cannot take it back. And what happens when things are over and time has passed, and you look up and there's no one around and you are alone, you're not going to be able to blame that on anyone else. On anyone else. You've driven him away. And it's very few times that anyone really take accountable for their own actions into why something couldn't last. You've driven him away. You can't be full of words to a quiet man. That means submission. That means, okay, whatever I've done, whatever the case is, I apologize, or whatever that case is, conversation over. We'll speak about resolve in the future. But this conversation is over. It takes a submissive person to say, you know what? He's the leader. What I'm saying isn't going to make things better. It's going to become combative. Let me humble myself. Let me learn there's power in submission. He asked you, can you please give me some time? Please, it's over. I don't want to hear it no more. And what happens to the man who's quiet? He began to think and introspect. He's not thinking about all the bad things you said. Now that's his issue against you now. He's thinking about, let me come back to her and let her know I thought about it. Babe, I was wrong. I'm going to try to do better. You didn't give him space to do that because now he got something else to think negative about. See? It's about when there's two at a standoff, one must submit. And if it's a man and a woman, it's the woman who must submit. And this have to be taught to our young daughters. We must push our young men to be ambitious, successful, and focus on that for the men, the young boys. We must teach the girls how to submit and follow those types of men, those types of boys. Young men, 21. This is where the young men go off at.
Yes, sir. 21. Stumble not at the beauty of a woman, and desire her not for pleasure.
Stumble not at the beauty of a woman, and desire her not for pleasure. We're living in a different time. When I was growing up, you found a young, beautiful woman. The competition to get that woman was within a 4-block radius. Right? And then if you end up with that beautiful woman, y'all would get married, have kids, and go on with your life. Right? But the way feminism have set in, a beautiful woman isn't fit to choose a man immediately with thousands of options online. So it makes it hard for her to settle for who exactly she is. Because online have done all of this other stuff and have created something different. Look at this guy looking at me and like me. Look at this guy. And that's why it says don't desire a woman for beauty, because the beauty isn't strictly for you. It's for the world. If a woman is exceptionally beautiful, you can forget about her trying to get married at 18 and 19 and 20 like when I was growing up. You can forget about it. Her options is infinite. So the Bible says, stumble not at the beauty of a woman. Right? Stumble not. Which means what? She's going to cloud your judgment when it comes to your obedience to God, to Christ. She's going to stumble your obedience. Right? Stumble not at the beauty of a woman. Of course, you can respect, love, and really admire the beauty of a woman. Who cannot look at a beautiful woman and says, you know what? That's special. But don't let it stumble you. And desire her not for pleasure. And by doing that, young men, you have taken the power women usually have away. Because every other guy they run into have their mouth hitting the floor and will do anything and overlook a lot of red flags. Okay. Be like, okay, you look good. Okay, what else you got? Because women were made to look better than men. Okay. Women are the pretty ones. What else you got? Stumble not at the beauty of a woman, and desire her not for pleasure. Now, Check out what it says at the 22nd verse. Read.
A woman, if she maintain her husband, is full of anger, impudence, and much reproach.
Now, if you have a woman who is submissive, what takes her out of that submissive posture? A man who isn't a what? A protector and provider. If that means a woman is willing to hold the fort for a little bit, but the expectation is that you're going to kick in as a man and take the burden off of her. A woman is willing to hold it down and not lose submissiveness and still respect that man. She'll work jobs, she'll do all of this. But in the back of her mind, there's an expectation of you retiring her. Now, there's a time, a deadline in her head to when you need to actually begin to meet those expectations as a provider. And the Bible states that if she maintain you, you're going to get you an angry woman because she's maintaining you. She got now the struggle she had before you. She got the struggle she had before you, and now you are an added burden. Now she's angry. So it's upon the man not to put that anger on her. To set deadlines to when you'll retire her. And how you're going to take the financial burden off of her. And the stress of this world off of her so that she can get into focusing on the value of that name, raising a legacy. So when women say they're angry, it tell you if she maintain her husband, it's full of anger. So then we have to look at, and I'm looking online, there's a new trend that's going on. And all due respect, you got sisters who are actually trying to get with men who are in jail and all of that. That's happening. And to have a place for a man to stay right out of jail. At first it's cool because you got a man, nice and strong, he even pumped up to protect himself and all of that, but it's going to be hard for him to become a provider initially. We have to watch who we get with. When I was coming up, there was halfway houses. Men would have to go through a halfway house, get a job, right? Show that he's been reformed back into society. And guess what? It wasn't just done that way strictly for someone he would meet. It was done for his own dignity. That I'm going to transition and show that I've been reformed and start building myself. Then I'll go find a woman. But all of these things are misconstrued now. Right? So here it is. It says, if a woman maintaineth a husband, listen to this,
is full of anger, impudence, and much reproach.
This woman is angry now. She's impudent. And now the man can point to, well, listen, man, she's out of order. She's not following God. She's not following Christ. Well, the Bible says, according to the proper order, it's Christ, man, woman. If you're not providing and if you're not protecting, guess what? You're out of order. You're out of order. You can't expect her to be in order with you. See? That's when things get thrown out of whack. And it still comes down to choices. And guess what, folks? The choices must be made before sexual interaction. Everything must be settled. The future of the family, the expectations, everything must be rolled out before sexual interaction. Let me show that. Let's go, Elder Lawyer, about the young girls. To show you how it was when we were growing up. A matter of fact, there's some more there. There's some more there.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Elder Lawyer. I'm looking at this. There's some good stuff here.
Mm-hmm. Sirach 25 and 23.
Let's read it.
A wicked woman abateth the courage.
That means it says a wicked woman abateth the courage. What does that mean? And I don't know if women know that our women know that they can do this subconsciously. A woman who's disagreeable takes the leading gene from the man. Why? Because the leading gene could only be in one or the other. Either he's going to have the leading gene or she will have the leading gene. That's why it says a wicked woman abateth the courage. She strategically takes his power from him. How? Read.
A wicked woman abateth the courage, maketh an heavy countenance.
A heavy countenance where the man is looking sad all the time.
And a wounded heart.
And a wounded heart. Read.
A woman that will not comfort her husband in distress.
A woman who will not comfort his woman in distress.
Maketh weak hands and feeble knees.
You make a man useless. A woman that doesn't encourage her man or husband, but continually berates him, you are creating a useless man that you'll be able to complain about. Because if you don't believe in him, then how can anyone expect any others on the outside of him to believe in him? And another thing is what? He will not have respect amongst his peers. So you think you're driving him by insulting him when you're really belittling him. And I'm going to drop something here. I'm going to drop something here, folks. It's nothing like, and I've seen this. And this is why a lot of people in general won't admit that, okay, I need to fix something. How many times you may see a situation where there was a relationship and then the person got older and you see this person became all of this and done all this and you're thinking in your mind, why couldn't he have done all this with me? He's the same man. Everything that you see that man became was in him the whole time. But then we have to ask whether or not was it time that got him to where he could accomplish and be what you've seen in him the whole time? Because sometimes that's what it is. It's time. Through time, he was able to actually mature and materialize the potential you knew was in him. Sometimes it's that. But sometimes it's this. He's free from his courage being taken. He's not dealing with heaviness anymore. He's not feeling belittled anymore. And he's free to now succeed. Now, this is wisdom I'm putting out there. And there's no knock on anyone, but that's a reality. That's some of what he was dealing with. He no longer had to suffer it, and he had time to focus on succeeding. Like, for instance, from a world perspective, we all been in the world, we have the truth now. Doesn't matter. A man don't want his woman going out with a bunch of friends. There is no girl trips. There is no clubs. There is no girlfriends hangouts. And then on the other hand, it's what's wrong with you? What, you insecure? You know I'm only down with you. I don't want you wearing certain things. What you mean? What, you afraid that another man might be attracted to me? Do you want another man to be attracted to you? Mm-hmm. See this? He's insecure. He's this. He's that. No, he's a leader. You ask him where all the leaders are gone, where all the men that lead. That's where men start leading first, in his home, setting boundaries. That's what a leader looks like, because this is what transferred to the success on the outside of the home. See? So when he set up a business, when he do something, based on how he ran his house, is how he will establish his boundaries out there to succeed. So I wanted to give an example to when it says abateth the courage. That means you're resistant to his leadership. Not realizing this is why the man cannot succeed. Because you're teaching him how to lead by submitting. Now he understands what submission is. He understands what a submissive wife is. He understands what a submissive children are, who have learned and been reared up to respect his leadership. So that transfers into the real world when he has employees. See? When he have to guide people who are dealing with all these different emotions, like he was able to guide those who depended on him in the home. That's a leader. And it starts with the submission in the household. Right? Now let's flip it. Right? I got a man. He's in a club. He's this, he's that, he's this. Right? And you are a woman. You're doing all the things you're supposed to do. You know what? Submit. Pray to the Almighty. Don't fight. If he's taking care of everything you need to take care of, submit to him. Now, if he's going out philandering and doing all these other things, now you have to talk. Now you have to have a different conversation. If there's other women and all over the place involved, and now you're coming home and he's not coming home, and it's 2, 3 in the morning, or come back 3 days later and all that. Now you have a choice to make. But still, don't let that break your order with God, your submissiveness, and your position according to the order. Because guess what? The Most High is going to take care of him. He's going to take care of him. Because your prayers will be heard by the Almighty. You're not going to let his actions change your order with God, regardless of that. You're going to stay in order and not let darkness come upon you because of another person. Either that man is going to change and repent and be the man you need him to be, or the Most High is going to move him anyway. See? But again, if you're submissive and all that, there's some deal breakers. You ain't gonna let nobody just run around and all these women and all these other things, and you're gonna let you coming in all staying out weeks at a time. No, you don't gotta tolerate that. You don't gotta tolerate someone putting their hands on you. You don't gotta tolerate that, especially when you are submissive, especially when you're doing everything the Most High said that was right to do. Okay? You don't got to tolerate that stuff. So when we talk about submissiveness and all that, there's things you aren't supposed to tolerate. The example I can give you of how the Most High worked things out, Elder Lloyd, let's get that king real quick that came to David. And another thing, sisters, and this is where you have to learn. This is really what sisters have to learn. Okay? When you're going through something negative, at the moment, it might seem like the end of the world. It isn't. The Bible put a spirit on, the Most High put a curse on the woman in the beginning that would make it where her worries would be actually beyond worry. He said that he would multiply a woman's sorrows. So when you're thinking about something, it's not as grave as you think. So when he says he would multiply your sorrows, he did this so that you can take proper counsel, either with the Most High or with trusted people that isn't going to give you bad advice, or if you have one, your husband. So when it says her sorrows will be multiplied, the mistakes sisters make in the heat of an emotion is running her emotions to everyone around her. Saying that she's entitled, I need to get it out. I deserve to be able to get this out. No, you don't. No, you don't. Okay? You can't do that. Because what you put out there in the heat of the moment, sisters, you cannot take back. You cannot take back. You're saying something now in the midst of strangers outside of your union. And then after you've made everything right in your relationship, all the people you talk to will always see that man, that's right, the same way you've explained it to them. They'll disrespect him. They'll dishonor him because you disrespected him over a moment. And then you have to work to try to build up that sachet about your man again with them. And they'll never see him that way again. They'll always see him and throw it up. You should be able to go out. Remember when you told me this about him? He ain't no good anyway. Da 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 da. And because you instilled something in a woman, and women, they don't take information like a man does. Okay? Because what? Their sorrows are multiplied too. They internalizes it. So when something happening to you, it ain't just happening to you. When you talk to them, they internalize them in your place, and it's happening to them too. And now she feels the need to have to protect you now because women internalize things. It's best not to say anything to people that you're not going to have to circle back and correct. In the heat of the moment, stay quiet. Stay quiet, because now other people are going to disrespect the one you must submit to. You got it? Let's read it real quick. The story on David real quick.
Yes, sir. 1 Samuel 25 and 3.
1 Samuel's. Let me get it here. First Samuel's 25 and 3. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, other lawyer. Let's read it.
Yes, sir. 1 Samuel 25 and 3.
Come on.
Now the name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife Abigail. And she was a woman of good understanding and of beautiful countenance, but the man was churlish and evil in his doings.
So this is the man that ain't right. With a beautiful woman. Read.
And he was of the house of Caleb.
He was of the house of Caleb.
And David heard in the wilderness.
Get to the bathroom, you good?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to pick this up. Hold right, and we're going to pick it up right here. One moment. We're going to pick this up in 1 minute. 1 minute, we'll be right back.
The Bible.
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that he used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited.
Okay. All right, brothers and sisters, I just want to make sure before we finish up that there is no feedback. Is everything good? A matter of fact, let me hear it. I'll know better through here. Let's hear this. Check, 1, 2. Check, 1, 2. Check, check, check. Check, 1, 2. Okay, this is fine. Check, 1, 2. All right, this is fine. Okay, give us 1 moment. One second. Where is that black? Where's the black microphone? Is it over your side?
Sit in.
Okay. Let me try something. You good?
Yep.
Check 1, 2. All right. Check, check. All right, we good. All right, this is better. This is way better. That'll work. All right, let's go. Elder Lawyer, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
All right, jumping right back in. Thank you for your patience, brothers and sisters. We took a quick break. Jumping right in because this is important that we go into this in detail so that when sisters hear what we're teaching, they don't think that it's a browbeat on women. The reason why, for those who missed it, hit the like button here, that we go into women because they did a special level of programming specifically targeted on our sisters within the United States. They even made white papers on it. Okay, for those who missed it. The Liberated Black Woman, a question of black power and nationalism, where they would use black women as a social weapon, but they would need to at first demonize the black man so that they can have the black woman for themselves as a social weapon. They'll be able to use the black women if they separate the black woman from any level of connection with her men, also with a moral standing to protect man and family, her man and family first, then they would not be able to use the black woman for the gay movement or the woman liberation movement or the Democrat movement or any other movement. They had to first liberate the sisters from the black man to utilize her as a social weapon. So this is why we're focusing on it, because a lot of our sisters don't even realize that they were programmed to be contrary to why God made them. See? To operate contrary. A lot of sisters say, well, listen, I did the right thing. My parents said that I should go to school, get a degree, and do all these things. And I was doing what was right due to the direction of my family. Well, your family was wrong. Your family was wrong. You were being directed into becoming an individual outside of why God made you. And it would lead to a combative scenario amongst your own people. They didn't single out the children. They didn't single out the men. They said, let's get the black woman and liberate her from her man. And by doing so, she would become the social weapon they would use for any political agenda. And hence the reason why, when you look at all of the metrics out there today, unfortunate for all of us, our sisters are on the bottom of every metric. And that was intentional. That was intentional. Now they're coming with the death blow. They're coming with the death blow. Now that everyone done figured out what's going on, they're just like, okay, let's rid the world of these girls altogether now. Okay? Elder Lawyer, if you can, let's go into the Bible and give an example of a man that wasn't right, but yet there was, a good woman. Because some people say, well, what if my man ain't right? What if this, that, and the other? And here's an example. Right? Let's go to 1 Samuel, Elder Lawyer, again.
Yes, sir.
5, verse 3. Let's read that.
1 Samuel 25 and 3.
25 and 3. Thank you.
Now the name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife Abigail. And she was a woman of good understanding and of beautiful countenance, but the man was churlish and evil in his doings.
Come on.
And he was of the house of Caleb.
And he was of the house of Caleb. Read.
Verse 4. And David heard in the wilderness that Nabal did share his sheep. And David sent out 10 young men, and David said unto the young men, Get you up to Carmel, and go to Nabal, and greet him in my name.
And greet him in my name. Come on.
And thus shall ye say to him that liveth in prosperity, Peace be both to thee, and peace be to thine house, and peace be unto all that thou hast.
So David here is respectful. Read.
And now I have heard that thou hast sharers. Now thy shepherds, which were with us, we hurt them not, neither were there aught missing unto them, all the while they were in Carmel.
We took care of your people. Read.
Ask thy young men, and they will show thee. Wherefore let the young men find favor in thine eyes, for we come in a good day. Give, I pray thee, whatsoever cometh to thine hand unto thy servants and to thy son David.
So give whatever you have to the son of David, right? To David. Why? Because his men needed nourishment. Mm-hmm. Okay? They needed nourishment for strength in the midst of a war. Right? So he says, we took care of your people. Take care so that we can survive through all of this, right? Mm-hmm. 9.
Verse 9, and when David's young men came, they spake to Nabal according to all those words in the name of David, and ceased.
Come on.
And Nabal answered David's servants and said, Who is David?
Who the Hades is David? This is this guy. Mm-hmm. Read.
And who is the son of Jesse? There be many servants nowadays that break away every man from his master.
Come on.
Shall I then take my bread and my water and my flesh that I have killed for my shearers, and give it unto men whom I know not whence they be? So David's men turned their way and went again and came and told him all those sayings.
So they went back and told David. Well, Nabal has become resistant. He's disrespectful. Read.
13. And David said unto his men, Gird ye on every man his sword. And they girded on every man his sword. And David also girded on his sword. And there went up after David about 400 men, and 200 a bow by the stuff.
Come on.
But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, Behold, David sent messengers out of the wilderness to salute our master, and he railed on them. But the men were very good unto us, and we were not hurt, neither missed anything, as long as we were conversant with them when we were in the fields.
Come on.
They were a wall unto us both day and night, all the while we were with them keeping the sheep.
So here it is. David was protecting his men the whole time. Mm-hmm. But yet, this Nabal wasn't willing to do in kind favor to make sure David's men were fed. Mm-hmm. See that? Unappreciative. Come on.
17. Now therefore know and consider what thou wilt do. For evil is determined against our master and against all his household, for he is such a son of Belial that a man cannot speak to him.
He's hard-headed. Read.
Then Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves and 2 bottles of wine and sheep ready dressed and 500 measures of parched corn and 100 clusters of raisins and 200 cakes of figs, and then laid them on donkeys.
And laid them on donkeys. All right. Now, as you can see, Abigail, Nabal's wife, was like, listen, you're not getting us killed. Mm-hmm. Right? So she went to do the right thing, right? In respect of her husband. She was saving her husband, actually. Mm-hmm. Right? This is a good woman. Read.
19. And she said unto her servants, Go on before me, behold, I come after you. But she told not her husband Nabal.
Read.
And it was so, as she rode on the donkey, that she came down by the covert of the hill, and behold, David and his men came down against her, and she met them. Now David had said, Surely in vain have I kept all this that this fellow hath in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed of all that pertained unto him.
I protected everything he had. David could have took everything this man had, folks. Mm-hmm. He could have took everything and said, no, I protected your house. I protected your sheep and all these things. And you can't break us off, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. Read.
And they have requited me evil for good.
And it's nothing like you doing right for somebody and they see this as evil and don't appreciate the fact that you helped them. That's what type of man this was. He didn't see anything. He thought that what? He thought that what David did was, that he was supposed to do it. He felt entitled to David's protection. He was like, hold up, I did all this. I'm just asking you to make sure me and my family eat, and I've taken care of everything for you. An unappreciative person. And that's a selfish person like that can't last. 22.
So and more also do God unto the enemies of David, if I leave all that pertain to him by the morning light, any that pisseth against the wall. And when Abigail saw David, she hasted.
He said, listen, there will be no man left. Mm-hmm. That's why it says, by the morning light, there will not be one who pisseth against the wall. That's all men. Mm-hmm. Read.
23. And when Abigail saw David, she hasted and lighted off the donkey and fell before David on her face and bowed herself to the ground and fell at his feet and said, upon me, my lord, upon me, let this iniquity be. And let thine handmaid, I pray thee, speak in thine audience and hear the words of thine handmaid.
So she fell on her face, begging David. Read.
25. Let not my lord, I pray thee, regard this man of Belial, even Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him.
And this man is foolish. Read.
But I, thine handmaid, saw not the young men of my lord, whom thou didst send.
She says, but I didn't see them. I would have sent the food and everything anyway. Mm-hmm. Right? So if they would have seen her first, then it wouldn't have been no deal. It would have been fine. She says, listen, if they would have ran into me first, I would have gave it to you. But my man, sometimes he's hard-headed, right? Read.
Verse 26. Now therefore, for my lord, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, seeing the Lord have withholden me from coming to shed blood, even from avenging thyself with thine own hand, now let thine enemies and they that seek evil to my Lord be as Nabal.
Read.
27. And now this blessing which thine handmaid have brought unto my Lord, let it even be given unto the young men that follow my Lord.
Come on.
I pray thee, forgive the trespass of thine handmaid.
Forgive the trespass of your handmaid.
For the Lord will certainly make my Lord a sure house, because my Lord fighteth the battles of the Lord, and even have not been found in all these days, found in thee all thy days.
Come on.
Yet a man risen to pursue thee, and to seek thy soul, but the soul of my Lord shall be bound in the bundle of life with the Lord thy God, and the souls of thine enemies, them shall he sling out, as out of the middle of a sling.
Come on.
All right, jumping down to verse.
Let's go down to 32.
32.
Thank you. 1 second. Can you get this? Thank you. All right, I appreciate it. All right, here you go.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Nice. Thank you. Let me get that. Here you go. Appreciate it. All right.
All right, 32.
32, let's go.
And David said to Abigail, blessed be the Lord God of Israel, which sent thee this day to meet me. And blessed be thy advice, and blessed be thou, which has kept me this day from coming to shed blood, and from avenging myself with my own hand.
Come on.
For in very deed, as the Lord God of Israel liveth, which have kept me back from hurting thee, except thou hadst hasted and come to meet me, surely there had not been left unto Nabal by the morning light any that pisseth against the wall.
He says, good thing you came, because there would have been no man left there. Mm-hmm. Right? So he received the provisions given through Abigail. Mm-hmm. Right? Now let's go down to Abigail came to Nabal.
Mm-hmm. 36. And Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he held a feast in his house like the feast of a king, and Nabal's heart was merry within him, for he was very drunken. Wherefore she told him nothing, less or more, until the morning light.
Read.
But it came to pass in the morning, when the wine was gone out of Nabal, and his wife had told him these things, that his heart died within him, and he became as a stone.
And he became as a stone. Read.
And it came to pass about 10 days after that the Lord smote Nabal, that he died.
And the Most High took Nabal out. See? She did everything to save her husband and the household, even though this man was wicked. And you know what the Most High did? The Most High got rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
See? So she stayed in her humility and respect. She saved the house, even though her husband was foolish. And you know what? The Most High took care of him. So when it comes down, we can't say, well, because this man is this is why I'm this way. Because this man is that, this is why I've changed. This is why I can't submit. If you do what's right, either the Most High is going to turn that man to what he needs to be, or the Most High is going to move him out of the way. Mm-hmm. A submissive, good woman don't have to change for nobody. Mm-hmm. If someone treats you wrong or do you wrong, it's in the hands of God. It's in his hands. And he's going to make sure you're right the same way he did with Abigail. So now we can't use this thing as, well, you don't understand what I went through to why I can't submit. I can't do this. There's many examples in the Bible where women would have stood against their man, but still stayed under the order, so that the Most High could kick in and bring the judgment. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at Sarah and Abram. You think Sarah agreed with everything Abram did? She was always humble, respectful, because why? The blessings she received was through the extension of Abraham. And she should always respect that authority. There will be disagreements. I mean, it tell you in other records that, man, Abraham didn't want to let Ishmael go. They was in a bitter argument almost. And Abraham was like, listen, woman, not up in here. You brought me Hagar, okay? She your servant. Do what you want to do. Don't argue with me. Go ahead, let him go. So they had arguments and disagreements in the Bible. But women understood that they could go but so far. Under these new types of psychological systems they've set up, they found a way to separate our sisters to the point where they'll be exposed to utter destruction. That's what I'm reading in these white papers. It was intentional that they would side with our women first against us, only to move our sisters so far away from protection. I'm going to tell you, folks, and now that our women are so far from protection, now they can finish our women off. And the only way we're saved, our sisters are saved, the only way they'll be saved through this is to fall under the proper order. We got to stop all this stuff about why I cannot be in order. Because none of that is going to help us against what's coming through those doors. If man is not in order, he's not going to make it according to the true divine order. If a woman is not in order, she's not going to make it. She's not going to say, well, I'm right with God, but I can't stand man. You're not going to make it. So it's about breaking the curse, breaking the indoctrination. And what I'm talking about, the most we can do to help women with this is what we're doing, teaching. Women going to have to break the indoctrination by submitting. A man can't force a woman to submit. That's voluntary. That's something a woman must choose to do. So what did they do with liberation? I'm going to show you why they set up liberation and focus a different type of feminism on black women. The feminism they gave us isn't the feminism that white women have. It's not. Because they know, white women know that they can't oppose the man who put them in the second position. Understand this. Only the undesirables amongst their people would come out and talk about, I'm against this and I'm against that, because no one want to hear what they got to say anyway. But the white woman that have something going on would never publicly go against the white man. It's counterproductive. So they taught a different type of feminism to their women. Their feminism has a ceiling. You can talk about all you want when it comes to making money and being equal, but you better not come against us as white men publicly. But the feminism they gave us was no. Men are inherently born to be our rival. Men, the black man is evil and hasn't worked towards any level of respect in our eyes. That's what they taught. That's the level of feminism they've given our sisters. And I'm not saying this. It's in the white papers. They're telling you how they've indoctrinated our sisters. Esau don't even hide how he has done it. Let me see this real quick. He didn't even hide his intentions. The role of the black woman in the liberation of womankind must first be clearly defined and establish the context of which the term liberation is used before discussing of the subject and can have any significance. Listen to this. If by the term liberated, it is meant that the throwing off of some kind of yoke, who was the black woman yoked with? The black man. She was yoked with us. And there was never a time where we had power to oppress anybody, let alone our own women. If only they can get in these colleges to convince our women of that. Throwing off some kind of yoke of oppression. What was that yoke of oppression that they deemed wrong amongst the black men and black women? The fact that black women, even if they didn't have to, was submitting to their men. That was the yoke of oppression they had to break. And dehumanization. What does that mean? Not that she wasn't human. It wasn't that she wasn't human. It's that she didn't have her own identity outside of her husband. They call that in college dehumanizing a woman because she's her own person. She should have her own career. And she's less than human living through her husband. And they made something different in the earth. What they made different will be the only woman publicly of any race could come forward before the world and state, I don't need my man. It doesn't exist amongst any other people. It's insanity. It's insanity. It was an indoctrination. So how do we get this thing back to where it needs to be? Well, it's about focusing on the next generation of girls. Okay? We have to teach our daughters that their career is a man. And we have to push our young men through academia and intelligence and have them lead in those particular sectors of leadership in our community. We must move the daughter back and put the man, the young boys, in the go-getter's position. That's the only way. That's the only way. Let me read about it. Let's go to Liberation, where the Bible states that's the only way. Another thing, at no time can the children witness the father getting disrespected before them. At no time, right, wrong, or indifferent. Disagreements are held separate from the children. Why? Because of the children who should be in submission see the mother disrespecting the father. They're being taught it's okay. Children are being taught it's okay to disrespect both of them. Because this is how disagreements are settled. They've learned that this is how disagreements are settled. So they can disrespect both of them because they see in a disagreement, it's okay for the mother to disrespect the husband. Or sit around with the children and say, he's no good. He's this, he's that. Yeah, I don't care what he say. You still do it anyway. The only way we could break this curse, folks, and it's simple, is operate in the proper order we were made. Man as provider and protector, and woman under submission as a helpmeet. And that doesn't mean a woman can't have a career or a job. Anything she get on the outside of the house, guess what? It's under full authority and submission to that man. Her career doesn't transfer to her boss in anything in the house. Okay? And don't tell me it can't be done, because when I grew up, I seen women in the church, nurses and all that, making more than their husbands. But their money came in and was under the authority of that man. So it can be had. How do you get order back? Let's talk about it real quick. Elder Lawyer, first of all, we must trash the feminist liberation movement, because that is what men are fighting against in their relationships. And I'm not talking about men that aren't about anything. Men that aren't about anything isn't a part of the conversation. I'm talking a man that's about something still must fight a society of women who don't know what it means to submit. So now let's get back to who we can change in general, the daughters. Who we can impact the most, the daughters. Let's read about it.
Yes, sir. Isaiah 32, verse 2.
Isaiah, hold on. Isaiah 32, verse 2. Let's read it.
Yes, sir. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind.
Hold on, let me get it here. Yes.
And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a rock in a weary land. And the eyes of them that see shall not be dim, and the ears of them that hear shall hearken. The heart also of the rash shall understand knowledge, and the tongue of the stammerers shall be quick to speak plainly.
Come on.
The vile person shall be no more called liberal,
The vile person shall no more be called liberal. See that? Read.
nor the curl said to be bountiful.
For what?
For the vile person will speak villainly,
Villainly, wickedly,
and his heart will work iniquity to practice hypocrisy,
to practice hypocrisy,
and to utter error against the Lord, to make empty the soul of the hungry,
to actually destroy those who are hungry,
and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail.
and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. Who are the liberals? In our current time, the liberals are the Democrats. They're the hypocrites. They're the ones who are really keeping us poor, struggling. See? And that liberal goes with freedom or liberation. See? So what did they focus on? Well, we cannot go against those who would stand like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and others. We got to make sure that there's no longer a Coretta Scott King or Betty Shabazz who would instill courage in a man who could fight against us. Right? Are y'all following me here? 1 second. One second. So the whole point is, after the civil rights movement, it taught them something. They said we must hijack anything that comes with protest. Eventually, we'll become the protesters, the evil ones. We'll make it where it's LGBT protesting, destroying everything that these people have fought and fought to financially protect themselves. We'll be the only one protesting, but we'll need their women. We're going to hijack protesting, and we're going to hijack it through their women. Understand what liberation is. Liberation is wickedness. Liberal is evil. It's hypocrisy. So how do we do this? Right? So let me show you. Elder Lawyer. Let's now go to the Apocrypha, where it talks about a man keeping his daughter chaste. We're going back to Ecclesiastes here. Sirach. Wait, it's 25?
26.
26, yep. Mm-hmm. Let's go.
26 and 10.
Now listen to this. What's the answer now? Let's read.
If thy daughter be shameless,
if thy daughter be shameless,
keep her in straight.
A matter of fact, start at the 9th verse.
Verse 9.
Oh, no.
Yeah, really
Oh, Lord. Let's start at the 7th verse.
Verse 7. An evil wife is a yoke shaken to and fro. He that hath hold of her is as though he held a scorpion.
Come on.
A drunken woman and a gatter abroad cause of great anger.
A drunken woman and a gatter abroad, that means a woman who can't keep her business in her home, and every time she's getting drunk, she's talking to other people, spewing rumor and all these others. It says, cause of great anger, and will not cover her own shame. Right? Read.
Verse
Now
9.
think about this. These are the females in particular, whether black, white, or anything, that is getting engineered through the West. Look at Miami during the springtime, summertime, and the girls walking all through there, drunk, can't even hold their alcohol, out of their minds. Even those who have affluent families, they're running around walking the strip like they're selling themselves. Read the 9th verse.
Verse 9.
And doing what? Embarrassing their family name. An embarrassment to the family's name. 9.
Verse 9. The whoredom of a woman may be known in her haughty looks and eyelids.
It says the whoredom of a woman may be known in her haughty looks and eyelids. So first of all, we have to teach our younger women, listen to me clearly, all the ecstatics? No. And the way we can teach that is mom must live the example of natural, so that our daughters are raised to know that being natural is beautiful. A daughter will do anything she see the mother does. And if she see you make up and doing all that, she's going to do what? She's going to say, I'm ugly compared to how you've made yourself up. And guess what? She'll always see herself as ugly. This have nothing to do with the beauty standard. This have nothing to do with Maybelline or television. The first example daughters see when it comes to this is their mother getting themselves ready. That's the example. And this is why when I was growing up, there wasn't no, listen, Thelma from Good Times didn't have all that stuff. But if you have women who has it, what did we see growing up? We seen the young girls when the mother would leave, putting all that stuff on her face and all that, and playing house with her Barbie dolls and all that. Right? So the first influence for these young girls are their mothers. Confidence is instilled at an early age for young girls. And equally, insecurities is instilled. It depends on the mother. Okay? It depends on the mother. 10.
Verse 10. If thy daughter be shameless.
If thy daughter be shameless, that means you see she's growing up and has a what? An attentive interest in boys. Well, that's good that she like boys, especially what's going on in the earth today. Right? But when she start getting those desires for some level of relationship, read.
If thy daughter be shameless, keep her in straitly.
Keep her in straitly.
Lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty.
She'll abuse herself to what?
Overmuch liberty.
Liberation. If you allow her to get a taste of what's happening on the outside of your house, you'll lose her. And hence the reason what'll happen? She'll begin to develop all these different bad experiences by the time she's ready to have a husband. And through each negative experience, a man who did nothing to her now must be measured or deal with all of that hurt that led up until the time she would meet a guy who would actually take care of her. So what? You get in front of it. So that it's not about by the time she get to a man that she's in her healing process. You get in front of it before she needs a healing process. Or you'll get upset that a man don't want to handle past trauma when he shouldn't have to. That's unfair. Right? So the Bible says what? We can focus on the younger women now, so that they don't have to overcome trauma just to understand what a normal relationship looks like. Don't allow her, lest she abuse herself through over much liberty. Read.
Verse 11. Watch over an impudent eye, and marvel not if she trespass against it.
And watch over an impudent eye, and don't be surprised when she dips out. Right? Because she's out there, not just because of girlfriends, she's out there to see if there's a better option. Okay? That's really what it comes down to. Because a woman who's seeking family, a husband, humility, who submit, isn't out there. If she's out there, she's looking to trade up for someone better. So don't be surprised if she begin to say, you know what? We need space. I really need to find myself. And believe me, finding herself, she's not going to find herself alone. Okay? That ain't how she finds herself. Because a woman was meant to be with a man. So when she says she's out there finding herself, she's finding the next man. Okay? Let's go. She will what?
Verse 12. She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler when he hath found a fountain, and drinketh of every water near her. By every hedge will she sit down.
So all this attention. Anyone that'll conversate, she'll be found by every fountain. Drink of every water near her. By every hedge will she sit down. And guess what? There's a man next to the fountain. A man next to where the water's near. A man that's next to the trees at the hedge. And she will open her quiver. That's literal. Read.
Against every arrow.
Against every arrow. Now she's open for different men. This is liberal. This liberation. You think they didn't know these scriptures when they created woman liberation? And what does this do? This caused something different to happen. Right? Let's get it. The grace of a wife.
13. The grace of a wife, the light of her husband.
Now it's talking about a good woman. She delighteth her husband.
And her discretion will fatten his bones.
And that means who know more about what? Who know more about the nakedness or the inconsistencies of a man than the wife. A wife know the strengths and the weaknesses. But it says a good wife will fatten her husband's bones. Discretion will fatten the bones, which means the weaknesses is for me to understand and know and help with. But the world will never know any weakness in my man. It not from me. See? A woman understands the power of discretion. Because by letting something out that's weak, is giving the enemy or the enemies access to topple the whole house. Now, how does that benefit her? So there's strength and weaknesses in all men. There's no perfect man in this earth. But a woman understands that she must, where a man is weak, she's not going to let that out so that the enemy can topple all the whole house. Mm-hmm. Now, that's a good woman.
14. A silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord.
A what?
A silent and loving woman.
Now you notice it started with silent. A silent and loving woman is a what?
Is a gift of the Lord.
That's a gift from Ahia. That's a gift from the Most High. A silent and a loving woman. And you know what they call that in our community? A weak woman. A weak woman. They call that a weak woman. They're trying to shame women out of being a gift from God. And not only that, you have these women that are trying to shame a woman just because a man is being a man. A man that come in the house and say, yeah, honey, yeah, can you take my coat real quick? Thank you, babe. Thanks. Yeah, I'm gonna kick off my shoes real quick. You know, I leave stuff all over the place. Kick off my shoes, right? Man, my feet hurt. Now, if a woman who don't understand how we roll, she'll come in and be like, who this Negro think he is, take my coat and go and kick his shoes in the middle of the floor. And then she goes and grabs the shoes and put it somewhere where I should have left them, right? Just imagine a liberated woman in your house looking at this. What type of weak woman is that? In their mind. I don't know what. I don't know if he's handling like that. I don't know what type of man he is. I wish he would. And guess what? Listen to this clearly. Usually that woman isn't provided for. Like that woman who's willing to humble herself and make sure her man is good. See? And that in of itself makes a person what? Indignant, envious. And they'll sit and look at it and be like, that's weak. What do you mean weak? Okay, there's a house where she can put the shoes. Where'd that come from? Where did that come from? So you'll have women who will actually look at things like, oh my good, it couldn't be me. And it probably couldn't. Matter of fact, 100%, it would probably not be you. See? Because a man, you're not going to stop a man from being a man. They've made the man, how he naturally operates, an enemy to make you think something is wrong with just being a man. Right? Let's finish it up.
Verse 15.
A shamefaced.
14. A silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord.
A gift of the Lord.
And there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed.
And it's nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed. When it says a mind well instructed, this is a woman who respects the order of God. This is a woman, when you ask her, what is the proper order? The Most High, Christ. Who should man submit to? God and Christ. Well, who should woman submit to? God. Not this woman. This woman right here is saying, no, there's an order here. I must submit to my man. It's deep that you can read that. And when you ask, well, who should a woman submit to? God. What about the man? Well, if a shamefaced, I tell you, is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed. A woman who, she loved God and feared God, therefore she understands that she must respect a man and follow under the and fall and submit under the order of one. You can't say you're down with God, but jump over the order when it comes to who you're supposed to submit to on earth. And you know how we break the curse? Just like we're doing. Teaching it. Because this haven't been taught right in our communities. The Christian church ain't teaching this. No one mind when we point out that Christ wasn't a white man. Everyone is behind. That was Cesar Borgia, okay. Well, you shouldn't be against when we're showing you what they're presenting to us in our communities isn't what the Most High intended when it comes to order. Right? And I'm not talking about people who aren't on the path towards Christ. I'm not talking about people who aren't following the Bible. I'm talking about people who follow the Bible. A man is supposed to fall under the submission of Christ. And the woman should at all times fall under the submission of man. Did I say anything wrong? And if someone has a problem with that, should that problem be aimed towards me or towards us teaching it? Well, what about the man? The man must submit to Christ. That's what about the man. What about the woman? The woman must submit to the man. That clear? Everyone has a role. And guess what? Both roles are different. And guess what? Listen to this. They're unequal. It's not an equal thing. There's double standards. There's a difference in men than it is with women. That's a double standard, and there's nothing wrong with that. And if it wasn't a double standard, the Most High would have just made two men, which is off, or two women that are off. There's privileges that come with being a woman, and there's privileges that come with being a man. Right. So you can't hold a man to the same standard. Neither can a man hold a woman to the same standard. She has to be 100% in order with God according to her purpose, so as the man. But they're different. So we can't be comparing, like, what about him or what about this, when we're talking about that. What are you responsible to? What are you responsible in doing according to the order? That's all that matters. Mm-hmm. What is your responsibility as a man or a woman according to God's order? That's all that matters. And a man can't say, well, I'm not doing what Christ needs me to do because of my woman. And neither can a woman say, well, I'm not doing what God required in me to do because my man or a man ain't right. Nah, doesn't work like that. The order is there regardless.
Mm-hmm. Yep, quick reset.
What's that?
Sirach 3 and 21 through 22.
Sirach 3 and 21. Let's read it.
Sirach 3 and 21. Seek not out the things that are too hard for thee.
Seek not out the things that are too hard for thee. Read.
Neither search the things that are above thy strength, but what is commanded thee.
But what is commanded thee.
Think thereupon with reverence.
Think thereupon with reverence. Do what your responsibility is. Mm-hmm. Don't seek out things that are too high. Well, if I got to do this, why he don't have to do this? Because men and women are different. That's why.
Right.
In our current world, and this is something new, in our current world, they're beginning to blur the lines to make us believe that we can be compared on the same level. That's part of what? It's part of the destruction of the earth. And it says, but what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence. That means what the Most High put on you to do. Mm-hmm. Read.
For it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret.
It's not up to you to see the things with thy eyes that are in secret. Something that has nothing to do with you. Okay? It's best to do what's on your plate according to God. Mm-hmm. And follow that. Because in the end of the day, before the judgment, when it comes before the judgment, man will be alone before God with his what? With his accountability that was given. Mm-hmm. There will be no woman there.
Right.
It'll be a man standing before God with everything on the table, including how he treated her and everything else. There will be no woman there. It'll be, what did you do according to what I put on your plate to finish? And when a woman is standing before the judgment of God, no man is going to be there. It's going to be her and the Almighty. And she's not going to be able to say that I would have been a better woman if he was a better man. No, because he's only going to judge her according to what? The measure he's given for a woman to produce. What name did you bring forth when it comes to your family, your children? These are the things women will be measured by. Women will be measured by the legacy they were able to continue with, continuing a name with that man. So only the requirements of a helpmeet, if she chose to get with a man, will a woman be measured by. A man has a more lofty, stronger responsibility in earth. She'll only be measured by, how did you operate with that man? Were you a helpmeet? Did you bring forth legacy? Is there something that will continue through that prodigy? Did you instill the law in your children? These are the things women will be measured by. Only according to the requirement of a helpmeet will a woman be judged. Because this is why she was made. Right? Read not 20, read 23.
23. Be not curious in unnecessary matters.
Be not curious in unnecessary matters. The Bible tell you over and over and over again, mind your business. Now, and do not compare your life to others. Mm-hmm. That's another error out there. Now you're putting what? Unnecessary strain and responsibility on your house in comparison your life to someone else who you thought you should do better than. All of that is carnal. It's vain. Mm-hmm. Be not curious in unnecessary matters. Mind your business. And that's man and woman. Mind your business. I see people out there where they'll make videos, and all their videos is just minding someone's business without any solution. Mm. And they don't have no work whatsoever. Their whole work is, okay, what other rumor is out there that I can talk about, and let's just talk about it and be a part of the female rumor mill. Don't bring anything unless it's a solution. I wonder what this guy doing over here. What this guy doing over there. What this sister doing over there. And even in good earnest, when I even examine what happened with Pastor Dow, you notice I would never attack him personally. I would never say anything out there. Even when I use these as examples to say if we want to protect ourselves, There's certain things we shouldn't do. You give the enemy access to actually destroy internally from the inside. I made sure, because I don't know what's going on. Neither will I ever say anything negative about people who's trying the best they can. But you notice, even when that was out there, I didn't take this as an opportunity to stomp down on him because he's doing the best he can with what he believed the Most High is guiding him to do. So you can't be in a rumor mill. Everything isn't our business.
Exactly.
Be not curious in unnecessary matters. Read.
For more things are showed unto thee than men understand.
Because what? More things are showed to you than you understand. You haven't conquered or accomplished what the Most High have in you to finish. Mm-hmm. But yet you're in everybody else's business when you're incomplete. See? If someone put a magnifying glass on you, then what would they find or see? Mm-hmm. Mind your business. Now, last but not least, daughters. How did we deal with daughters in the past when it comes to giving them in relationship? What is the proper order? Number one, women in particular, when it comes to the daughters, women cannot choose a man for a daughter. She can't. It never was in the Old Testament. It never was. And there's not that she's not in the decision making. She's in the decision making, the mother. You have to be. That's your baby. Mm-hmm. But the father is the vet. He must vet that person. And then minds come together. Not a father, someone with wisdom whom that daughter respects. And that's before she give her flowers over to any boy. Why? Because she can only do that one time. She can only do that one time. And I'm speaking virginity. So we can't change all of that, but we can go back and say, okay, we do have young daughters that haven't been tampered with or dealt with. Even though feminism and all that have divided the families to a degree where the freaks have now access to our children to turn them out before they have an opportunity to give away their innocence as God intended. Okay? So let me give you an example according to scriptures of how it went down. And this must be applied going forward. Right? Let's get Deuteronomy 22. And let's start 15. At 15. Yeah.
In fact, we started 13.
13?
Yes, sir.
At 13, yeah.
Deuteronomy 22:13.
Deuteronomy 22, verse 13. And I'm going here to show you that when it comes to a relationship, there were what? Systems in place for a girl that would be given to a husband. We must recreate these systems. In the church, in our church, these systems are in place. Now, whether or not people would actually follow them, that's a whole nother thing, but we do stress these systems, which means if there's a young girl who's seeking to have a husband, a conversation must be had with the woman's father. we're living in a time where most people are growing without a father, then it's well okay. Is there someone else that she respect within the family? Well, if no, then the bishop of the church, who's over the church, steps in that authoritative position for vetting. Why? So that if anything go awry, he's, the man, the young man, is accountable to something and to somebody. Let's read it.
Deuteronomy 22:13. If any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her.
That means he dealt with her, not really wanting to be with her, right? So he dealt with her, but really, when he says hate her, he didn't really want her long term for a wife. Read.
And give occasions of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid.
When I came to her, I found her not a maid, right? So what he's saying was, well, she was dealt with or touched by another man. She's tainted, according to the Old Testament, right? According to the scriptures. Now, she is a virgin, but yet this guy is trying to make an excuse to get rid of her. Now, here's a point of what? Where somebody comes in to have him, to have this man, this young man, be accountable. Right? So now things didn't work out because he's trying to find a way to make an excuse. He's trying to make an out on this, right? And what happens? Then what?
Then shall the father of the damsel.
Then shall the father of the damsel
And her mother. Take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city and the gate.
They take the tokens of virginity to the elders at the judgment gate. What were the tokens of virginity? Well, in the agreement for the marriage, the young man asked for her hand in marriage. The father agreed. The father and mother discussed, after vetting the young man, the amount it would take in dowry to have their daughter's hand in marriage. So before he even touch her, he's already invested. He is already invested before he touch her. So here was the plan. Here's the dowry. You have to give me some land, this, that, and the other, this amount of silver or gold or whatever. And then both families come together. The groom's family on one side, the bride's family on the other side. The father would then what? Give to the young man a token of virginity at the ceremony. The token of virginity is a sheet. Now, while the procession is going, while they're going and they're all having a good time, families uniting together, there's a back chamber far away on the outside of the reception. It's like a marriage chamber. The young man consummates with the young woman on the token of virginity. They shower off after they're done. They're united as one. Then at the end, the music would stop. They would put on their reception stuff to party and all of that. But before that, they both hold sheets up to show that she was an untouched woman before the family. The tokens. Then they would fold the sheet up and give it to the father as evidence that he gave that man an untouched maiden, virgin. See? To keep her integrity intact. It was important that a daughter of Zion would have her integrity intact at all times. And what? That would bring shame on the father if he gave her over after being touched by someone else. So there was what? There were standards, accountability in place. See? Now, if you take all of these steps, usually a man is invested. Okay? So it says, and they shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring the tokens, that sheet of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city of the gate. Read.
16. And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hateth her.
See, now the father can stand in his daughter's defense. This isn't a thing where she's out there by herself with a guy who have done her wrong, right? There's accountability here. Read 17.
And lo, he have given occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city.
That's how it gotta go down. Now, do we do the tokens of virginity? No. But it must be an agreement well before, with both families, before this woman, this young girl, is turned over to a young man. It's not her just seeing a guy and liking him, and they get together with no authority in place. See? Because long term, that doesn't benefit the woman. It doesn't benefit her. 22 and 18.
And the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him.
And correct him. Why? And this was deep back then, because if you put out something negative on a girl like this, there's a chance. Listen to this. If blood isn't on the token, they would have killed that girl and her father. So just putting something out there on these young girls like this, hey, you couldn't do that because there was honor involved when it comes to giving a daughter of Zion to a man. Mm-hmm. And only a woman can bring back that honor by not just callously giving herself to someone. Right? So when we put out there, listen, go live your life, go to college, you haven't lived your life first, go and experience life, and then there'll be someone on the other end, that's insane. There's no way that woman is going to be broken by the time she go through her education with all these men and get and finds and think she can find someone at the end of it as if she's a virgin. Okay? Our women don't have all the same opportunity and shots to get someone in their prime compared to a young man. So she have to bank right. She have to get it right at a younger age. And therefore, the Most High put accountability in place when it comes to elders and people who could vet the man to make sure when she make a choice as a young girl, she doesn't regret it in her old age. There's no regret. Read the 19th verse.
19. And they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver.
So if the guy end up lying, what happens? They now, not only did he give that dowry, he have to now immerse the family again with 100 shekels of silver. On top of lying on my daughter, you're going to pay me again. You're going to pay me again. That's accountability there. See? Read.
And give them unto the father of the damsel, because he hath brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Israel.
As you can see, a virgin and damsel are the same name. This is the reason when you look in Matthew's, that Joseph was told to put Mary away privately. Because if there was no blood on the token, they would have killed Mary. Come on.
And she shall be his wife.
And she shall be his wife.
He may not put her away all his days.
He shall not put her away all his days. So what is this here? This is restoring her integrity and honor before all. So a daughter of Zion don't have to walk in shame. Now you see what happens when you throw this liberation crap out and put and throw it out and put accountability according to God in. When we were growing up, it was called shotgun marriage. But there was still some accountability. Right? Hence the reason why they had to tear the church down and make the church secular while they were bringing in feminism, so there would be no accountability from the elders to keep families intact. But if this thing be true, just say if the woman did deal with a man and was given to a man and was given to another man, right? Just say if she was touched by another man. 20.
But if this thing be true,
But if it be true,
and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel,
and they see that there's no blood on the sheet,
then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones, that she die.
Read.
Because she have wrought folly in Israel to play the whore
To play the harlot
in her father's house.
in her father's house.
So shalt thou put evil away from among you.
So shall they put evil away among you. The father thought everything was good. That's why nothing's going to happen to him. But they would kill the girl if her what? If her virginity was broken. That's big. So what we need to do is not talk about how we were hurt and need to heal and all these other things. We have to make sure our daughters have an opportunity to get it right.
Right.
We have to make sure our sons have the opportunity to get it right. So to break the curse.
Right.
So to break the curse. But the onus is more so on the young ladies, because through feminism and through the educational system, they get to the young girls first. When the young girls are in their flowers or can have babies, they're teaching sex education so that she can do what? Disrespect that virginity before she have an understanding, before she have a true understanding to what she's doing and giving away that innocence. So we have to get in front of it first, and not and go against this sexy red harlotry and all this garbage, and show men and women the honor that comes with purity before they give themselves away. You understand? And that's the point of what I'm talking about. A matter of fact, we're going to rename this. We talking about man in the mirror, but it's really talking about what? Fighting feminism, and fighting feminism through the divine order. So we got to stop talking about each other. Let's heal and all this other stuff. When you're baptized, you heal. You're walking in a new creature. What's past is gone, and the Most High will only judge us by what we've done from the time of baptism. So he fixed that already. We're fixed. We now have to walk in newness of life. We can't use it as an excuse to not operate in our proper roles. Men must submit to Christ. Women must submit to man. It doesn't matter what you think about him. We're the only ones left to protect you on earth. No one cares about our women. No one does. So regardless of what you think about us, The Most High have us here to protect you. And that comes with a level of respect and submission, regardless of what happened to anybody in the past. Okay? So I wanted to put that out there today. Right? So with that concludes our broadcast for today. I know it was a little lengthy, but we started late. I thank you all. And again, I would like to mention that we do have a great, fantastic academy coming this coming August 4th. Oh man, I can't wait. Again, unfolding the seals of the apocalypse. Unfolding the seals of the apocalypse in the next Hebrew and Bible Academy, Sunday, August 4th, 2024. Please go to historytimes.org. I'm going to tell you, this is going to be another groundbreaking 3 months beginning August 4th. Okay? Brand new lessons in the academy, declaring the end from the beginning for creation, the final judgment of evil, the return of the diaspora. What we're doing here is going back and showing you the fact that the European expulsions that happened with the Jews in Spain and Portugal and all that, I have proof. The book is right now on my dining room table. I got proof that these were all black people. Even the Irish who went into slavery were all black. They weren't white people. And we're going to prove it. The judgment of modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. And I have a new lesson that I'm going to include with the book that just came, that I'm ordering actually. The connection between Jesuits and the Jews. And this is why we have to get out of this thing that all Jews control things, right? Now, are there Jews in high positions? Yes. Are they getting preferential treatment for a specific reason? It depends on the fields they go into for education. But all in all, Jesuits has infiltrated all religions, including Judaism, and we need to highlight and point out who they are. When you see apologetics, they are Jesuits. Okay? They're hiding under the name apologetics. They are Jesuits. They're dark knights from the Vatican and have been indoctrinated through these universities to become the gatekeepers. And they have infiltrated certain facets of jewelry in our modern times. So I'm going to show you when they infiltrated Judaism. And I'm speaking of the Jesuits. And we're going to also highlight the secret oath. They don't just stop with Judaism. They've infiltrated Christianity. They've infiltrated Islam. It is not a place you can't find a Jesuit. Atheist, universities, theologian schools, the mystery schools of Freemasonry, they're everywhere, but have a secret oath. So that when they see the organization they've joined going contrary to the order, they're there to nudge them back on the path according to their oath. That and more in the next Hebrew and Bible Academy. The connection between the Jesuits and the Jews. Shalom, may the Most High be with you. Stay prayed up, sin not, and keep in mind these lessons are out there to strengthen our people, those in Christ, Israelites, Jews, and Gentiles alike, because folks, we can't continue to fight against one another. We are all we have. And I know it's hard initially having to deal with hearing things that we can't change and hearing instruction that we know is good for us, but yet we're operating contrary to. I'm not putting this out there to judge anyone based on what they've done or what's going on in their lives. Keep in mind, I'm not here to judge that. Okay? I've gone through things. I have things I can't change from the past and all these others. We're just here to put the direction out there so that we can all walk the path of Christ without guilt and make it. Brothers and sisters, we're at the tail end of this. And the Bible says that a wise man loves reproof. Correction doesn't always feel right. It doesn't feel right all the time being corrected. But you know what? Correction is love. Shalom. Have a great, great rest of your Sabbath. And I'll see you tomorrow in the Academy where we break down the 7 seals in the book of Revelation. Shalom.
Shalom.
I opened up the book and see that the apple of your eye included me. And through the tribulation, I know I must stand.